Alright guys, if you saw the last video, you know that I just recently bought the VEVOR fabrication welding table. And what do I think about it? Well, watch the last video to know that I do enjoy it. But the difference between this and the Harbor Freight version, besides a couple of things about the table itself, is the fact that this table didn't come with all the cool accessories the Harbor Freight one did. So in this video, we're going to build some of those accessories, the ones that I wanted, for cheaper than the price difference between the two. Does that make sense? I hope it does. We are also going to be making this thing a little bit better for your small shop. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to working. Let's get dusty! First things we are going to build is the clamps that I actually wanted from Harbor Freight are ones that drop into the hole, but those ones I believe you actually have to bolt on. The ones that I'm going to make are just like dog holes. They just stick in and they just use tension or pressure to hold them down. So we're going to make those, but we're actually going to use those, make those using Harbor Freight clamps. So I saw this one online. We're going to take these clamps, these F-style clamps. We're going to get this top piece off, and then we are going to weld a 5/8 bolt to it. This 5/8 bolt actually fits very nicely and very snug into the table. So that's what we're going to do first. These things are like $350, by the way. So that's how expensive they are. Alright, so now I got all my little bolts cut off. Slides right on in. Now we're going to weld this like this. And now I have a set of welding clamps that cost me less than $4 a piece to make.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's strong. That's real strong.
But now what about if you want to do pipe? How are you going to weld pipe? There's a couple of options that I'm going to do here. One of them is I'm going to take just a small piece of 1-inch angle iron and just weld it right to one of those 5/8 bolt heads, just like so, and that'll give you the ability to, wow, my face is dirty, give you the ability to weld pipe. The other way, and this is what I'm going to actually do for me, is this welding table came with, not mosquitoes, this welding table came with a bunch of little metal things that I don't know what they are. I looked them up online, couldn't figure out what they are. They came up with these little bird mouth notch pieces. I'm going to weld those right to those 5/8 bolts.
Ta-da!
The other thing that I really wanted I don't know what they're really called. Again, my welding experience is I'm self-taught on a Harbor Freight MIG welder. I'm going to call them bump stops. The next thing I want to do is bump stops. Now, I don't know why you can't just do this, but if you just have some cutoffs, some of those 5/8 diameter cutoffs, I don't know why you can't just drop these in and then line your piece up here. I don't know why, as long as you know that you're flat spot to flat spot. People said you're supposed to have them in circle, so I don't know why you have to have them in circle. I think this would actually work just fine. But if you have to have them in circle, I'll show you how I'm going to make them in circle. But I also have metal lathe, and you might not. So I took some 1-inch solid round stock. I cut that on the bandsaw at 1.5 inches. Then bringing it over to the lathe, I just took it down to the right diameter to fit right into the holes. And there you are, with a little bit of work. Now I got my 4 little bump stops that just slide and drop right in. That one was really hot because I just got it out of the lathe. But those are the accessories that I really wanted in the Harbor Freight table. But now, as you can see, this table, though small, does take a pretty big space in my small workshop. Especially because I mostly do woodworking, and this is a metal working tool. So in order to make it collapsible and more portable, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it be able to fold down, and I'm going to attach it to the side of my welder. That way, flip it up, use it, flip it down, out of the way. Now I am going to lose one section, obviously, of the table doing it that way because it's going to hinge right off the side of the welder. Now, if I decide that it's too big of a pain in the butt, I'll put it back on a stand like this and I'll figure something else out. But I think for right now, I'm gonna do that because mostly if I'm welding on this table, it's gonna be something pretty small anyway. So let's start cutting up some steel and getting this thing welded inside of the welder. So the hope is going to be I'm going to make a rectangular frame right here that will attach to the side of the cart, and then I'm hoping to put hinges on it like that, and then be able to flip it up with legs that come out. So that's the plan. We will see what happens as we go along. Bolt everything on and together. That way, if I want to take it apart, I'll be able to. I'll weld the bracing, but everything that attaches to things will be with bolts. In case I decide to change my mind. So the idea for my legs is I want to use the actual mounting holes there, and I want them to pivot right at that hole. So this leg will slide on the inside of the table, and then this leg will line up on the outside of the table. Now I do want to use the adjustable feet that it came with, so this isn't going to sit exactly pretty. It'll kind of raise these up a little bit, but that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to see if I can just drill some holes, mount some bolts there, and see how this thing pivots.
Oh, wow.
So now, well, this leg swings up, this leg swings up. This one, a lot more betterer than this one, maybe just because that's not tight. But, who thought it was going to hit me? Alright, so my leg concept is there. I'm going to put some tabs in here, drill some holes so I can add those levelers or those feet, whatever you want to call those. So I realized that those tabs that I'm going to need for the feet, it's going to be a lot easier to drill the hole now while it's a solid stock piece compared to when they're cut into these little 1x1 sections. I'm going to just drill a small hole first, I'll weld them in, and then I will come back through with a step bit and get them to the right size, because then that way I don't have to worry about weld splatter and then getting in there. And it'll be a lot easier to do the original holes right now. Yeah, I have safety glasses on my head instead of on my face. So let's go over this way. Cut these out with the angle grinder. And now with the legs built, I need to make the frame that is going to attach to the welding cart. And I'm going to use these bolts here for this leg right here. And then I will use probably as many bolts as I can. Looks like maybe just this one and this one for this leg right here. I'll have to notch out this little portion right here. I'll attach one there, one there. I'll do a runner across the top, throw a hinge on it, and then we'll see if this thing is a complete and utter waste of my time. Stuff like this always makes me laugh. I've got the welding table that I'm using to make something for the welding table. So we are clamped in and leveled off to where I want this thing to be. I've marked where I need to drill holes through this. I'm just going to drill the holes. Like I said, I'm going to use the hardware that's already on the cart. And then I'm going to probably weld these door hinges to the top while I can. And then I'll actually bolt the door hinges to the top of the table itself. Like I said, I want to eliminate modifying that top as much as possible. So I'm going to drill these holes, and then I'll get this thing bolted in here, weld those on, and then try to fit that top on. Alright, I got the frame all mounted to the welding cart. It's very solid, but I did realize something that was very stupid. I welded my hinges on upside down. I mean, I guess I probably could make them work, but if I flip it the other direction, it's gonna be way better. Yeah, because right now it flips upwards. I need to flip downwards. So cut my welds, flip it over, and then I'll be able to add. Then I'll be able to bolt it on. So I'll be able to bolt it to then. Whoopsies. All right, I got the hinges cut off of the welding cart. I've got them clamped onto where they're going to have to go onto the table. I'm going to have to drill and put some bolts in here, but I need some flush-headed bolts. I don't have any. So I have to get those, but it's after 10 o'clock tonight, and there's no place for me to get them. So I'm going to bolt these onto the table, and then I will probably just re-weld those hinges back onto this cross beam piece after those are on there. And it should do that. It's coming along, but I gotta run to the store and get parts. I just gotta weld these hinges back into place. So it is a little shaky, but it's not really as shaky as it was when it was on that cheap stand that it came with. So it does have some wobble, but it doesn't really affect it a whole lot. I think that it works out well for me on this because of the fact that at some point there was a bigger, wider axle put on this welding cart, so I think that helps it be a little more stable. Again, I do realize that I gave up the ability to use this part of the table, so if that becomes a problem, I'll just throw it back on the stand. That is it. So instead of taking this whole area up, I just and there it is. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.